Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, people. Artur Beterbiev stops Joe Smith Jr. in 2 rounds. He is now one belt shy of undisputed. Destruction. I mean, I don't think you can use any other word other than that when you saw what happened in here. Now, I obviously didn't have time this week to do a full prediction video on this. I did say in the live stream, and I think in a subsequent video and midweek report, that I felt Beterbiev would win, but that he'd win this fight late. And the simple reason I felt that is, I felt that Joe Smith Jr., although he normally, and he did it in this fight, he normally comes out looking to apply pressure, looking to throw some shots to head and body. And to be fair to Joe Smith Jr., he did land some shots at the very, very start of this fight. He actually landed a good body shot on Beterbiev and was really trying to back him up. But I actually thought, given the fact that Smith knows he's in there with arguably, certainly probably one of the top 3 pound for pound punchers in the sport of boxing, that he may be a bit more circumspect, that he may look to maybe try and box with Beterbiev, because certainly early on in the fight when Beterbiev maybe is, just having a look at a guy, when people like Marcus Brown have boxed with Beterbiev, they've had success. Beterbiev is a very good boxer as well. I mean, he was a quality amateur and, he's done a lot of good things as a pro. He's got very good technique. He can box as well. But I thought that maybe Joe Smith would have a look at him. Maybe not try and win rounds per se, with just boxing on the back foot, but maybe try and look and see the kind of angles that Beterbiev is coming from, what shots he can get off, and maybe try and see how he can negate the power, or if the power does tend to dull as the fight progresses, and then maybe try and set a faster pace and then look to apply pressure later on, Beterbiev being the older guy. I thought maybe Smith would try and do something like that, just to try and get this fight to go a bit longer, take something away from Beterbiev in terms of the sheer force of his power. That's obviously, he hits harder earlier on, because you'd imagine that as the fight progresses and he gets more fatigued, you'd imagine that the punching power would just negate a little bit. Well, Smith didn't do any of this. He literally went in the first round, as he always does, looking to apply pressure, looking to throw shots. As I said, he landed a good body shot early on Beterbiev in the first couple of seconds of this fight, but Beterbiev was able to adjust instantly. He started boxing, and it was just destruction from then on in. He was able to tag Joe Smith a couple of times, just purely by looking for counters on the back foot. Some good right hands. The uppercut in this fight, which I'll talk about more, he was more prolific with that in the second round, but Beterbiev showed that whether it be straight shots, even though some of the right hands he was throwing were kind of looping right hands, whether it be straight right hands or uppercuts or hooks, he has power in them all, he's accurate with them all, and he can take you out with them all. So Beterbiev was just piecing Joe Smith Jr. up. Now, it was a weird one. Joe Smith was feeling these shots, and again, when you're an opponent and you're coming in, you're looking to apply pressure, you're looking to take this guy's head off, but he's hitting you on the counter, and you're feeling these shots, and obviously you could tell Smith Jr. was feeling them. Surely something in your head's going to say, hang on a minute, I can't do this. I gotta be careful. This guy hits like a bloody train. I gotta change it up. Well, he didn't do that. Now, he went down Joe Smith with about a minute to go in the first round. Now, I haven't seen any replays of it. It looked like it was a bit of an exchange, and it did look like a shot from Beterbiev landed and Smith went down, but he went down as he was throwing. So the referee, as soon as Smith's knee touched the canvas, he was like, no knockdown. Alright. But towards the back end of the round, he did get caught with a right hand and did drop Smith. It was a lovely, lovely counter right hand. Smith was coming in with a bit of a lazy jab. Counter, overhand right from Beterbiev. Landed on the side of Smith Jr.'s head, and down he went. And realistically, that was the writing on the walls. Actually, quite similar if you think about it, how this fight went. Same kind of, pretty much the same in terms of how it went, was the Nair versus Inoue. A fight in which you kind of expected, obviously the rematch, a fight in which you kind of expected fireworks, from both guys. And the Nair walked onto a right hand, back end of the first round, didn't recover, was taken out in the second. This was exactly the same here. Walked onto a right hand, back end of the first round, never really recovered, but never really adjusted either. He didn't adjust his game plan. He didn't come out in the second round, Joe Smith, and think, you know what, it isn't working. I can box. I've got a decent enough jab. I can keep this at long range. I'm going to have to. Because this guy is too accurate. He hits too hard. He knows what I'm doing when I'm coming in. I'm getting pieced up. Didn't do that. Second round, big exchange. Big exchange to start the second round by both guys. I mean, these guys didn't feel each other out at all. They went for it from the get-go. So they get into a big exchange, big shootout. Beterbiev came out the better, as you would expect, and was able to put Joe Smith Jr. down again. That was the second time in the fight. Recovered from that. The referee after the second knockdown would have been right to maybe call the fight, but he didn't. The first knockdown, I'll say, after the exchange, Beterbiev went back to the ropes, and amazingly, like, this is someone who's backed up against the ropes. You'd normally expect someone when they're backed up against the ropes like that not to have the punching power. Right hand puts Joe Smith Jr. down again. The second knockdown came. It was actually a lead uppercut that started it, so a counter uppercut actually, that Beterbiev threw. He buzzed Joe Smith Jr. with that. He opened up a flurry and he dropped him again. This time Joe Smith Jr. was backed up against the ropes, and I wouldn't have complained at all if the referee waved it off there. At the end of the day, Joe Smith, he wasn't out of it, per se. It wasn't like, his legs were like a mere can or anything like that, or he was just in a daze. No, he was still cognizant enough, but I think the writing at that stage was on the wall. Beterbiev then landed near the very end of the second round 2 huge uppercuts. Huge uppercuts, in a little short uppercuts in an exchange with Joe Smith. Buzzed Joe Smith again, put him down again for the third time in the round, and the fourth time overall. The referee just waved it off. The writing was on the wall. Joe Smith just fought the wrong fight. Beterbiev, absolutely lethal. Just at 37 years old, just tremendous. I mean, the punching power at the time and the accuracy, the ability to switch up his game and adjust to what the opponent is doing. He really is a fantastic fighter, is Artur Beterbiev. It is a shame. It is a shame that personally, now, some people could say, gee, I think he's just as good now as he was a couple of years ago. And certainly he's taken no punishment. He's very fresh for 37. But I look at the years, kind of like 2016 to about 2018, when he had them issues, even 2015 to 2018 maybe, where he had them issues with Yvon Michel, the promoter who promoted him up in Canada. And he was only fighting if even once a year or once every 16, 18 months. And I feel as though they were years that we could have seen really the best of Beterbiev, where he really could have maybe put a real serious tear on the light heavyweight division, and instead he was inactive for a large part of it. So maybe they were his best years, and maybe it's coming to an end now. At the end of the day, he's still got 3 of the 4 belts at light heavyweight. He's still a tremendous fighter. All that remains is Dmitry Bivol. Now with Dmitry Bivol, Eddie, and believe me, this fight, Dmitry Bivol versus Beterbiev, Bivol, oh man, that fight is going to be good. That fight is going to be good. I can see how Dmitry Bivol, Dmitry Bivol, when you look at someone like Marcus Brown, how he was able to box early on with Beterbiev before Beterbiev started breaking him down. Dmitry Bivol, the calmness he has in him, because Marcus Brown is a fighter I always felt is very wary of what comes back at him, in a sense of he fears what's coming back at him. Not the opponent, but he fears getting hit. You'll see that in Marcus Brown. Even before he started losing, he'd always just be so tense and so fearful of getting hit. But Bivol is so calm in there. His footwork is so good. His long-range boxing is just tremendous, that he'd really box with Beterbiev. And Beterbiev, when Beterbiev's looking the pressure and he's not boxed with the opponent, he can get outboxed for a few rounds. But Bivol has the power, because he does have punching power, has the long range ability, the speed, the footwork, the timing. Combine that with Beterbiev, his good boxing ability, because Beterbiev can box, his punching power and his physical strength. Oh, you've got a match made in heaven there. You've got a great fight. And Beterbiev, there's things in Bivol I think he can exploit, but vice versa, there's also things Bivol can certainly exploit in Artur Beterbiev. Certainly. But Eddie Hearn has been talking about Buatsi versus Bivol. Obviously, Canelo was going to trigger that rematch. He's locked in to fight Golovkin. So you got to figure, if Bivol fights, just chuck a date out there, October. Say he fights Joshua Buatsi in October, beats Buatsi as we all expect. I can't see him getting undisputed. I can't see him doing it before he fights Canelo, because October to May, realistically, you're not going to put in, you're not going to have time. I say you're not going to have time. You would have time. But if you fought Artur Beterbiev, say in December, January, February, that's a tough fight. I can't see you recovering. And say Bivol wins, I can't see him getting the Canelo fight or being fresh going into the Canelo fight, if that's the case, and vice versa to Beterbiev. And you never know, there could be some contractual thing where Bivol is only allowed to fight a current DAZN fighter or something like that, maybe, because obviously you don't want Bivol to go in there and a top rank fighter and lose all them belts to top rank. So Canelo's going in there for a rematch with Dimitri Bivol with nothing to gain except pride. Yeah, he might still do it, but I'd say he'd want them titles. So I would say that Beterbiev Bivol, unlikely. In terms of who Beterbiev fights next, well, apparently it's already been signed and sealed that Frank Warren has Beterbiev versus Yard to go in October. Anthony Yard was interviewed saying that he feels Beterbiev is too slow. I feel that Anthony Yard will get lit up like a Christmas tree in there. And I'll do a separate video on it. But Yard, with that Philly shell defense, which he's not mastered, where he stands stationary with that Philly shell defense, he is going to get lit up like a Christmas tree by Artur Beterbiev. I'll talk on it more in a separate video, but for now I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you assess both guys' performances? Did you get the fight you expected? Or were you, like me, expecting a bit of a different approach from Joe Smith? And yeah, we didn't get that. We just got destruction. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Like the video if you could. Subscribe if you haven't already. People, I'll talk to you later.